Dave, you look great as always. You must just came from makeup.
Makeup, yes. Welcome you. Welcome to the first edition of Roadmap to Retirement. Whether you're a boomer or pre-boom, I don't know, the Gen Zs, whatever your age. If you're thinking about retirement, this is the program for you, the podcast for you. I am a legendary Hall of Fame radio personality, Dave Wingert, a.k.a. Wingy, a boomer radio, locally owned, locally loved. And to my left, to your right, if you're facing your screen, is one of America's premier, pardon my French, financial advisors, Mark Gilliatt of the Retirement Guys.
Well, thanks, Dave. I didn't even know you spoke French, so that was very impressive.
Oh, mais oui. Mais oui.
Yeah.
Yeah, theretirementguys.com. And this is kind of a general get to know Mark, getting to know you, show tunes. You have led the way toward successful retirement for, what'd you tell me, 35 years?
Yep, I've started this.
When you were 10?
When I was 10 years old, yep. So I've been doing this for about 30 years.
So why did you decide to do this for a living? For an occupation.
Yeah, well, my father, Mike Gilliatt, has been doing this, and he's still doing it.
He's still working,
He's going to be 82, and he's still going strong, so he's been doing it for 50 years.
Wow.
And so he was a great role model for me. A lot of people grow up, having different heroes or whatever, but, I feel very fortunate because great parents, and my dad was a great role model for me, and so I saw how he was helping people in financial services and helping people make smart decisions about money, and so that's ultimately then what I pursued. In fact, when I first got into this, my dad encouraged me to become a certified financial planner. And at that time, if your dad said, "Hey, you should go do this," you're not necessarily gung ho about it. But he said, even if you don't pursue this career, it'll help you with your own decisions in retirement and planning for financial well-being. And so that made a lot of sense to me. And so I way back in 1994, I became one of America's youngest certified financial planners. I can't say that anymore. Now I say one of the most experienced certified financial planners. But that was really, pushed along by my dad's encouragement and letting me know about that program, because that was a new program at that time. And so, but it's been a great way to help people and to learn and ongoing learning. In fact, I just completed a program from Yale University.
That's impressive.
Yeah, the Certified Private Wealth Advisor, because we want to always stay up to date and current, and then making sure we know what we're talking about when we meet with clients and talk to people about what their options are and help educate them and inform them. So people, that's really our goal, is help people make smart decisions and informed decisions and educated decisions about retirement and financial well-being.
Well, let's make the most of this 20 minutes. When a client comes to you, what's the first piece of sage advice that you give them, or the first question you ask them?
Yeah, I think that latter part there is important. It's really about the questions, right? Because that's what we're really trying to discover when we talk to people.
Because everybody's different, right?
Everybody's different, and everybody has different goals and different priorities and different, financial situations too, right? And so some, it's just, making sure they're in a good position financially. But the other thing that's changed from my perspective, has just been doing this for a long time, is, when I first started, it was about, really the money more, helping people think about how to accumulate and make the money work for them. But as I've been doing this longer, I'm seeing also, it's a very important component, is making sure we have purpose too. And that's an important part of it, is we want to have financial well-being, but we also need to be tuned in with a purpose, and making sure, when we retire, we still have relevance. is really
I think you-
important,
Yeah,
right?
hit a nerve on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've told me a lot of times it's not just about the money. There's got to be joy too.
That's right. We want to, we want it to be enjoyable and throughout the stages of retirement. And that's part of what, we're trying to do is just have a conversation with people, and make sure they understand, there are different stages. And I often say, hey, we have our go-go stage in retirement, our slow go, and then our no-go. And that really is kind of the reality that we see, and so, helping people adjust to those changes and be ready for the inevitable parts of life that sometimes are unavoidable, right? And go through that process.
Well, as you're talking, I'm thinking it is like following a map, because some people want to go here, some people want to go there, right? So you can tell them which roads to take, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. That's, what we're looking at is, getting on that path or road, and that's going to get you someplace in an optimal way. Now, the thing in life is there's detours, there's roadblocks, there's
Detours,
things that happen, icy roads, where we get derailed.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to make sure we have, more like bumper cars where we're not going to get derailed.
Well, you bring up a really good point. I had an infected tooth, and it was pulled, and they're putting in a post next, and it's upwards of $3,000. It's like, whoa. Well, where's that going to come from, right? And all of a sudden, I need $3,500. Would you say that the economic landscape is more complicated now than it's ever been?
That's a really good question. A lot of things in some regards haven't changed at all, right? I mean, we're still still
like
human.
Radio. Some
Yeah.
things are the same, and
Right.
other things have changed.
Like radio or phones, right? We're still communicating with phones, but they do a lot more, and there's more buttons on your phone. And so that's kind of the same thing with retirement planning in a way. One big thing that's changed is many people, 30, 40, 50 years ago when they retired, pensions were a bigger component.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was, some of those things were already taken care of, and it wasn't quite as involved from the person's perspective of what they had to do. And so that's something that's definitely changed, where it is a little bit more hands-on, and it requires a little more participation from people to determine what they want in retirement. And so that's where we come in, is try to talk through with people what's important to them, how they get security, how they can, in effect, create a pension in retirement, so they don't have to worry about running out of money, when they're older. And when should they take Social Security? Does Medicare intertwine with that? Now there's, Roth IRAs, there's traditional IRAs, there's Roth 401ks, there's traditional 401ks.
You have to stay on top of all of that.
That's right. And a lot of things are always changing.
This year in particular, I hear that there was something that Mr. Trump did that changes if you had a baby or if you took out Social Security.
There's always, we got to stay tuned in, because Congress, they can change the rules too a little bit, right? And one of those is this year, you can put, if you're over 50, and I don't know if you're over 50 or not, Dave.
Just about.
But okay, but if you are, now you can put, if you're still working, you can put up to $8,600 into an IRA or a Roth IRA. The big, beautiful bill, as it's called, that was passed by Congress, increased the standard deduction for people over 65. And so if there's obviously nuance to that, because there are some income limits. But for many people, that's made a big difference, because the standard deduction for a couple has increased by $12,000. So they get to keep a little bit more of their money this year. So, and those are things that can change over time. And so that's why, as I mentioned before, I'm always trying to stay up to date and educate myself too, so that we're conveying to people information that's correct and up to date, and make sure how it applies to that person's situation.
This is Roadmap to Retirement. I'm Dave Wingert. Hope you're enjoying this. And Mark Gilliott of theretirementguys.com. What do you think is one common misstep, rather than mistake, that pre-retirees make?
Yeah, I like how you phrase that, Dave, because a mistake, maybe you think, hey, I can't fix that, but a misstep, right? And just get our balance
An
again.
oopsie.
Yeah, and we got to get reconfigured. But there are things though that are pretty, that can be detrimental, that you have to be careful of, right? And some of the things we're helping with, hopefully we don't have to deal with those big mistakes. And if we align things properly and have the right bumpers in place, we can avoid that. But some of the things too, it's just in today's society, the complexity of people, the ability for people to trick people or scam people with internet.
Oh yeah, every night on the news there's some new scam.
Some of that is the worst things I've seen, is that people have fallen prey to scams. It wasn't really an investment misstep or mistake, but they got taken advantage of. And so that's, something we got to make sure. And also just sometimes, as we get older, we're not maybe as sharp as we were, 20 years ago, right? And
true
so,
words, right.
So we have to make sure that, we have trusted people in our lives also. And
people we can turn
have
to.
involvement, for if you have children, that they, maybe you get their opinion on any big moves, right? But that's something. But then on the flip side, the other thing I see sometimes is that's derailed people is using their retirement account that's supposed to provide income for their life as a piggy bank, and taking that money out. And, and it's natural, especially if you have children that maybe are in a situation that's difficult, you want to help them. And sometimes people have been overly generous, and it can derail them. And so we just have to be careful that we're working within the framework and helping people if we can, but not in a situation where it disrupts our life and our happiness in retirement.
Speaking of piggy banks, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever met anyone who's kept their retirement under the mattress or in a coffee can?
I have talked to people that, have, keep cash in the freezer
boxes.
or in the shoebox,
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad idea. I mean, a little bit of cash, because, if for some reason you couldn't get to the ATM or something like that, it's nice to have a little money. But typically there's some better places to put our money where it's going to be working harder for us and invested harder for us, so that it's doing more to create, a good path, a good roadmap.
Would you feel comfortable sharing a success story?
Well, everybody, yeah, of course, there's people that we have helped get where they need to go. The biggest thing really is that, many times, people are coming to us, they've already done a good job, and they've
and you tell them that,
and they've accumulated things, but it's just helping them understand what their retirement accounts can do for them. And they've been in a mode for 30 or 40 years of accumulation. And now we're in a situation where we want to take what we've accumulated and use it to replace our paychecks and, what I like to say, our playchecks, because we want to have fun in retirement too, right? And so we want to make sure when we do stop punching in, the clock, that we have other things that can come in and replace our paychecks. And, that's Social Security, IRA distributions, 401k distributions, and making sure those are done in a way that is effective and avoids taxes and last our lifetime.
I want to tell you that I've known Mark for 10 years, and not only is he trustworthy, of course, and handsome, debonair, but easy to follow, too, because money, financial matters just make my head explode. If someone wants to work with you, are your fees comparable to other financial advisors?
Well, that's the other great thing is the advantage of working with us is that we have scaled to such a level and used technology to such a level that when people use us as an investment advisor, our fees are many times 75 to 90% lower than what the typical advisor is charging people. So not only are we providing what we feel is great advice, we're doing it at a very good price. So that means more money stays in your pocket, and that really helps us also become more successful because more of your money's working for you, and that's our goal, is to try to help people accumulate and have the assets that they need to live a rich retirement.
Rich retirement. I like that. So if someone's watching this podcast in the East Coast, West Coast, and they could Zoom a meeting with you easily these days.
Oh, yeah.
You could
yeah.
meet with anyone, right?
That's right. That's right. And so, in fact, this afternoon I have a phone call with a gentleman from California that reached out to us. So, yeah, we have conversations all over the country and, make sure that people, wherever they are, in retirement or geographically, that we can give them some guidance and help them plan and make sure they feel confident. So they don't have to focus on the money and they can focus on the purpose and enjoying their retirement. And that's something that we really want to help people do, is because many times if we don't have a good plan, we're worried about things that really aren't really a reality, right? And so we want to make sure that
keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, and then you can enjoy your retirement and create that purpose.
Well, we didn't want to take a lot of your time. Just want to introduce you to this remarkable man here. Any parting shots? Any last thoughts?
Oh, I'm just glad
up?
to be here with you, Dave, and thanks for all the great questions. And we'll be back with more. We'll drill in a little bit more into purpose and helping people, with important topics in retirement and retirement. Keeping those retirement dollars and money in motion for people.
Roadmap to retirement. That's what this podcast is. Big thanks to our engineer, Grant Hansen, to the window there. And I'm Dave Wingert, and he's Mark Gilead of theretirementguys.com. And we'll talk to you before long again.
Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Grant. Great to see you.